Hello, and welcome to this roundup of my 5 favorite romance novels that I read this month. I'm Olivia, your favorite resource for book recommendations you can easily screenshot, and you're watching Random Olive Reads. The Duke's All That by Christina Britton is book 3 of the Sinful Spinsters series. Seraphina is living in the Isle of Sin with her 2 sisters running the circulating library on the island. She has a mysterious past and is a little bit defensive and skittish. Turns out she was married many years ago, betrayed by her true love, sent to an asylum by her father, and then ran away with her sisters to protect them from their terrible father. Her security is disrupted when her long lost husband, Ian, shows up on the Isle to demand a divorce from Seraphina. He believes that he was the one betrayed by her all those years ago, and then believes she was dead and only just found out that she was alive. And now that he's a duke, he will need to get married again in the future, and he needs to be free and clear to do so. He doesn't tell Seraphina that he's a duke just in case she has some political aspirations, but they do set off on a road trip to get that divorce. Along the way, they do actually start to talk to each other about what went wrong all those years ago and realize they were both told lies by her father. He's interested in making the marriage real, but she refuses and wants to go back to her quiet life with her sisters. It's all a huge mess made worse by the fact that Ian is still lying about being a duke. Bride by Ali Hazelwood is her foray into paranormal fantasy romance. Misery is the daughter of a powerful vampire councilman and often used as a political pawn. The latest ordinance from her father is to marry the Were Alpha leader Lo to form an alliance and prevent an all out war. She's totally apprehensive of the whole thing, but she believes that Lo is the key to finding her missing best friend. Of course, she thinks that Lo hates her and is disgusted by her scent, but we're guessing that Lo thinks Misery smells just peachy and trying to avoid getting his heart broken. We get all sorts of interesting political drama and maneuvering with this book, plus a slow build of trust and friendship for Misery and Lo. Add in some pheromonal mating glands, feeding lust, and nodding, and we end up with Hazelwood's spiciest traditionally published novel to date. In Want of a Viscount by Lorraine Heath is book 3 of the Chessman series. Lenora is an American inventor in England with her family looking for investors in her writing machine. Except that her crass, overbearing mother is looking for a titled husband for Lenora instead. Lenora sneaks off to a ladies' club and asks for a kiss, but the club owner seems to be short staffed in the gentleman escort department and he asks his own titled brother Rook to see to the kissing. Rook and Lenora don't exchange names, but do exchange a kiss, but then leaves Lenora passed out from absinthe, and Rook is wondering what he did wrong. Of course, they later cross paths when Rook turns out to be a potential investor in her company. They flirt, they dance, they can't seem to stay away from each other, and Rook is the only man, aside from her father, who's ever appreciated Lenora's curiosity for machinery. However, Rook is not interested in marriage and basically an overly controlled man who denies himself any lustful indulgences due to his father's scandalous behavior. These two are fairly slow to realize that they're perfect for each other, but it's a fun read along the way. What I Did for Duke by Julie Ann Long is book 5 of the Pennyroyal Green series. Serious and stern Duke Alex catches Ian Eversey in bed with his fiancée, so he decides to take his revenge by seducing and then abandoning Ian's sister Genevieve. Except Genevieve is both too clever and too preoccupied to fall prey to Alex's games. She spent the past few years in love with her good friend Harry, who she was hoping would propose to her during the house party her parents are hosting, except he tells her that he's planning to propose to another woman. She puts up a calm facade, but is most definitely heartbroken. When Alex shows up to the house party, Genevieve obeys her mother's wishes to spend time with him, but she's not interested in the much older man at all. Until they actually start talking to each other and getting to know each other and realize that it's actually nice to talk to somebody at the same intellectual level. And while Genevieve never becomes a victim to Alex's revenge, she does end up attracted to him and is conflicted about her feelings. Alex is also realizing that he's his own victim as well, falling in love with Genevieve when she's in love with someone else. It's a big, huge muddle, but very entertaining to read. And lastly, we have The Chemistry of Familiar Objects by Alexandra Fasti. This one's a standalone novella available at the author's website. Emmeline and Robert share a building for their respective professions. She's a chemist and he's a printer. They are total opposites and do not get along at all, except for the part where they're inexplicably drawn to the other person. Emmeline starts the day by telling Robert that she has purchased the building and he is being evicted, but they end the day chasing after thieves that are stealing Emmeline's work. We get a 2 or 3 day wild goose chase with these two grumpy, outspoken people finally actually talking to each other. And then more than talking to each other. This was super fun with lots of hijinks. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you found a book or two to add to your TBR. Links to all of these books are in the description box. Like and subscribe to get updates, and you can follow me on Instagram at randomolive.